Well, hello everyone. This is Dr. Ayleen, and this is Medicine Walk. And for those of you who are listening in on Blog Talk Radio, this is Healing House Radio. So, the topic I want to talk about today is probably one of the greatest advantages to being an empath. And there are a lot of advantages to it. And oh, hi, there's Luna, the empath kitty. There are a lot of excellent advantages to being able to incorporate empathy into your life and into your practices. And what I want to talk about is the idea of being what I call a motivational listener. Now, we all know about motivational speakers. They're those who are very talented at being able to inspire and encourage and, get people to, really get fired up about what they can do. A motivational listener works a little bit differently. A motivational listener is one who can hold the space for someone, ask very few questions, really not say that much, but allow that person to find their own solutions. And I know there's some fantastic motivational speakers out there, and I would never, speak against any one of them, because I know it's very important to have those people who can inspire with their words, and I've done motivational speaking myself. What I find to be the important piece is that often the idea behind motivational speaking is that there is information that that person lacks and that they need and they benefit from having. My viewpoint is that everybody does have their own answers. And if someone is just given an opportunity to kind of sit with the problem and to have someone who can understand what it is that they're going through, who can sit there with them, that often people will find their own solutions. So that's where empathy kicks in. Empathy, as we've talked about, is that ability to resonate with others. And the easiest thing to resonate with are emotions. If somebody is going through something, a difficult time, often they really don't need to be told anything. They just need to have a space where they can sit and quietly work through what it is that they're going through. So that's where the motivational listener comes in. Someone who can sit there and really, really listen. A long time ago, I remember someone saying that if someone is thinking of their response when someone else is talking to them, then they're not really listening. It allows for a form of detached listening, where, as far as I'm concerned, it's really not that important for them to hear from me as it is for them to listen to their own selves, to listen to their own spirits. And with empathy, I can help someone to be able to kind of let go of their resistance to listening to themselves so that they can feel safe in order to be able to verbalize what it is that's going on inside of them. And empaths are amazing at that. We are able to because we can feel what that other person is feeling as if it is our own feeling, as long as we can separate ourselves from what it is that that person's going through. And that's where, it really, that work with empathy, that learning how to manage it, how to identify it, how to separate what is mine from what is yours. That is where the ability to utilize it in this sort of way comes in. I've had a lot of people who I've sat and, listened to. And I won't even say that I counseled them as much as I helped them through minimal questions, small open-ended questions, which, an open-ended question is one that does not have like a strict yes or no answer to it. It invites an idea of kind of thinking about it and pondering about it and looking at it from a more broad sense. So the idea of asking someone or, just saying, it's like, wow, that must have been really hard, what you were going through. Do you want to tell me about it? Can you tell me more about that? So by asking, can you tell me more about that? I'm not giving them a framework as to what that answer needs to be. It's just a very open-ended question that allows that person to be able to express what they need to express from their own perspective. So the idea that you are able to be in a space with someone, and that can be tremendously important. That can be the difference between helping somebody resolve something or handing them an answer. And while sometimes, yes, it's important to be able to step out of motivational listening into motivational speaking or being able to do that counseling part, if someone gets really, really stuck, or if, in my case, often the only time I'll really tell them something is if I get an impression. And I've never said I was psychic, and I don't. It's strange because it's not that, it's not as simple as reading minds or telling the future or anything like that. Sometimes I get a hit on something, and that's exactly how I'll word it. I just got a hit on something, which basically means that I received some sort of insight with regards to a question that they need to hear, or a perspective that maybe they need to be able to see from someone else's perspective, from someone else's viewpoint. And if I do have that sort of thing, and it doesn't happen with everybody, but there are certain people who I resonate very strongly with. And so that means that because I'm resonating very strongly with them, their experience becomes my experience. And I've learned over the years how not to lose myself in someone else's experience. And the fact that I'm a firm believer in spiritual guides and spiritual guardians and, and those beings that assist. Once an empath is resonating that strongly with someone, their guides and their guardians will utilize that opportunity to, get a message through you. And yes, I know it feels like we've just, stepped down into the rabbit hole. And this is a part of the work that I do. I do, often interact with the spiritual realms and things like that. And so if that seems a little odd and seems a little weird, well, that's a part of the ride. So if you are an empath and you're resonating very strongly with someone, and they have an ancestor, they have a family member who has passed, they have a spirit who wants to let them know something but can't because for some reason that person is not receptive to it, they're not open to it, often they'll go, okay, you're matching her, so here's the message, and then it can come through your doorway. So, and later on, we're going to be doing more talks on things that lend more into that spiritual realm. And I'm considering doing a really big one for Halloween or something. But in general, yes, I believe in spirits of all kinds. I believe in nature spirits. I believe in elemental spirits. I believe in, faith-based spirits, angels, and all of that. And I especially believe in guardians. And it's odd because sometimes when people are having a very difficult time, I can feel empathically these beings that are there. And I can also tell when one of them has a message for that person. So they'll give it to me because they know, one, I'm sort of neutral ground and I'm safe. And that person is safe. Because honestly, if these spirits were not to believe that I was safe for that person, they wouldn't have anything to do with me. But because I'm able to hold that space for them and resonate with them and be that close to them in that moment, Yes, that is possible. Now, is it possible as an empath to be able to become a medium? Absolutely. And I do believe empathy is a strong, helper for those who are experiencing that. Mediumship is basically the ability to connect with spirits in other realms of reality. So if you have the capacity to be able to resonate energetically with anything that is energetic, these beings are energetic. So that means, yes, you can be able to interact with them. So back to our main topic about motivational listening. I promise we will cover this other stuff in another episode. But I really wanted to emphasize that people who are empathic, it's not just about you. There's a reason that you have this gift. There's a reason that you have this ability. And part of it is that it is your spiritual work. The other part of it is that you have the ability to help people. You have the ability to hold that space, because sometimes the less you say, the more the other person figures out. And as an empath, you can be able to create that safe space that that person feels safe in, without any attachments, without any expectations, without any judgment, and to really feel what they're feeling, to understand where they're at. And when somebody really believes that you understand where they're at in that moment, they're much more likely to be able to safely explore the questions that maybe it's time for them to ask themselves and to answer. A solution, handed to someone, it goes back into that whole aspect of, give someone a fish and they eat for a day, teach someone to fish and they eat for a lifetime. Well, to give a solution or to tell somebody, well, what you need to do is you need to do this. Okay, maybe they'll do it, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But that's your solution, it's not theirs. And to be able to sit with someone, to have them relax, to trust themselves. The best thing that we can do for another person is to help them learn to trust themselves, to listen. And for people who are very wrapped up in what they believe someone else needs to do or needs to hear, it takes something away from that person. It keeps them from finding their own solution, because somebody may create a solution. When you're holding a space as a motivational listener, the main thing is that you need to disattach from what you believe is best for that person. Because especially once you've created an empathic bond, you want what's best for them. You want them to be happy. And when you match your empathy with the detachment that says, okay, I'm here for you, I'm listening to you, and I trust that you will create a solution, whether or not it's something I agree with. Because, I've worked with people and they've come to a solution that works for them. And maybe it's not what would work for me. Maybe it's not what I would recommend for them. And it's important that they have that opportunity, because really the best part is when somebody does hit that moment and that light comes on. Often I'll have people say, it's like, I never looked at it that way after they said something, not after I said something. I want them to have those epiphany moments based on their insights, not as much mine. So when you're dealing with someone, it's matching empathy, and it almost sounds like the two would work against each other, empathy and detachment. Well, consider it a lack of judgment. Consider it an ultimate expression of acceptance of that person, and for them to find their own solution. Now, even if that solution doesn't work out the way they think, it's still theirs, and there was something in it. And you can say, it's like, well, maybe it didn't work out exactly this way, but here's the things you got out of it. So you learned something and you move forward. So the idea that you can be able to hold that space in a way that other people honestly can't, because They don't know what that person is going through. They don't feel what that person is going through. And if I'm counseling and I'm resonating with someone, I want them to be able to feel that faith in themselves. It's not so much that they have faith in me. And I'm very blessed and I'm very honored by all the people who have come to me and said that I was able to help them. Honestly, I just listened and asked a few very open-ended questions. But the less I talk, the more they figure out. And they figure it out for themselves. They learn to trust themselves. They learn to trust their own abilities. I don't want people dependent on my input because that does not empower them. And that is my goal, is that each person be empowered. So as an empath, balancing the acceptance of someone else walking their path, but it doesn't mean you can't walk it with them. It doesn't mean that you can't be right there saying, yeah, okay, we got this. You've got this. You can do this. I believe in you. And when you send, you don't just say it. When you can send, I believe in you, through an empathic connection, and that person feels it inside of themselves. Remember, empaths can transmit. And that person has felt that inside of themselves, then it becomes their feeling. They believe in themselves. Now, the trick with that is you have to honestly believe in that person. For me, I believe pretty much in everybody. I believe everyone has that capacity to be empowered, to make their own choices. And sometimes those choices don't work out. I mean, Lord knows, a lot of my choices didn't work out. Yet I learned from the mistake that I made and I gained something in it. It's not about, telling someone, hey, you can do this, you can do that, and you can do anything, and, and you have no limits. If they walk out and only believe it because someone else told them that, then I don't feel that that's as effective as maybe them looking in the mirror and saying, you know what, we've got this, we can do this. It may not be pretty and it may not end up great, but we're going to try and we're going to do this. So being able to help someone find that faith within themselves is a tremendously, tremendously wonderful thing that empaths can do. And the thing is, it takes almost nothing from us. When you're counseling, sometimes there's that idea, and I've counseled counselors who would often say, it's like, I don't know what to say. I want to give them the right answer. I want to give them the answer. I said, why? Why do you want to give them the answer rather than help them figure out the answer for themselves? And once I phrased it that way, it took a lot of the pressure off of them, that they didn't have to have the answer. All they had to do was give that person enough time and enough space and enough encouragement that they find their own answer. And empaths are tremendously good at this. We've got the inside track on that, because we are able to understand when we match up with someone energetically and empathically and emotionally, we can tell where it is that they're stuck, what it is that they're stuck on. It's not just about giving a solution. It's about helping them figure out how to create their own reality and their own dream. So sometimes you gotta, move stuff around. Sometimes, there may be something blocking the path, and empathy helps you find it. And then you let the person figure it out for themselves. Empathy is amazing. I love it. I love having it. I consider it a gift, and I also consider it a tool to be utilized. It's an amazing part of me, but it's not all of me. It's not the only tool I have. And sometimes when I'm talking with someone, empathy is not needed because that person is already in a space where they can really open up. In that case, it's just sympathy, compassion, and encouragement. So consider that. Consider the motivational listening that you do and how your empathy can make you a phenomenal person at it. It's about helping people to find their own answers, not handing them answers, not getting them all fired up and then they have nothing afterwards. This is about teaching people to fish. So, thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or if you outright disagree with me, please feel free to put that in the comments and I will be happy to discuss it. I'll be happy to take a look at it. If you are watching the premiere of this episode, as always, I am in the chat room live. So if you want to discuss it, you can go in there. You can also contact me through my Twitter page and through my Facebook group, Medicine Walk with Dr. Ayleen. So we're up to, I think, 93 subscribers, so I only need 7 more subscribers to reach my first 100. And if you're watching this video and you like it, if you like the subject matter, if this works for you, please consider subscribing. Right now, I think I'm still at about 40% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribers. So I'm hoping that you guys will decide to join in and give it a try and help out my channel. If you'd like to support me in a bigger way, there's a link to my Patreon account in the description. And for as little as $2 a month, you can support the channel and help me get better equipment and better editing software and really work on being able to take this channel even further. So, again, thank you for joining me. And as always, I wish you balance and I wish you blessings from my heart to yours. Love you and see you tomorrow.